there is no NOTCAST. Only monster time. Or is that? No, actually, I don't know how to do intros anymore. So if you watch this regularly, you'll be going, what on earth is this thing doing? Well, to be honest, I don't know what this thing is. It's just a thing, and it lives in my house. And that is a monster, I believe. So occasionally this turns up at work meetings because I can. So welcome to a thing called Mark's NOTCAST. I am Mark. This is not a podcast. And I'm talking about things, whatever the things are that are on my mind. And, well, I was asked about Record Store Day. And yes, I've got thoughts about that because I've got thoughts about everything. And unsurprisingly, I am a man who has opinions. Many people have opinions. I have more than one. But I talk about records, books, films, things in front of my mobile phone to an audience of literally dozens of humans. So if you're making it this far, well done. It's been a pretty busy couple of weeks. 2 weeks ago, I went to a place called Skegness and I saw a lot of bands, including Britain's premier hip-hop outfit, the Goldie Looking Chain, who were amazing. Yeah, I cannot stop listening to them afterwards because frankly, sometimes you just need a damn good laugh. So Record Store Day happened on Saturday. It was a very, very good day. I did get the record for spending the most money out of anybody in the shop, which I feel slightly embarrassed about, but not embarrassed enough to hide it. There are three things which my shop didn't have, and I'm going to talk about those. I'm also going to bring you some new additions into my collection, which I think you might be interested to see. The first one, actually, this came today in the post. This came from the Netherlands. This is Kraftwerk and Comet Melody, the first Kraftwerk single from 1973, only released in Germany, few thousand at most copies in existence, never reissued, never repressed. Never available on an album, actually, Kraftwerk. And the version of Comet Melody that's on the Autobahn album is a completely different recording and arrangement. This is, as they put technically, a rare groove. It's not in minty mint condition, because minty mint condition copies are like £150. This one was 25, so that's a lot more affordable. But yeah, I have the missing link in my Kraftwerk collection, and that's a really nice thing to have. Let's go through what I got for Record Store Day. There are three things my shops didn't have, and they're all on order. One of which is Monaco's I've Got a Feeling, which was on 12-inch. I have the original unreleased withdrawn CD single from the year 2000. One of them was the Fields of the Nephilim's Fallen and Live at Roskilde release from 2000, an expanded version of their 2002 semi-official studio LP. Live at Roskilde is available in CD form on the Genesis and Revelation unofficial CD DVD box set, so I've got that already, but I'm really looking forward to having that. The Fields of the Nephilim are a band I haven't mentioned in any previous episodes, but yes, I have a deep and abiding love for them. And then the last one is Suede's Sci-Fi Lullabies Volume 2, which, considering it was shot, or the cover photograph was shot at Dungeness, and this is the nearest shop, or my shop is the nearest record shop to Dungeness. Pretty surprising that they didn't have it, but they don't, and here we are. So, what did Record Store Day bring for me? Well, I'm going to go alphabetically, and then I'm going to tell you what I did at the weekend. The first thing which I got was Sophie Ellis-Bextor's Kitchen Disco. If you watch previous episodes, I may have alluded to the fact that Sophie Ellis-Bextor is one of the finest living English women on the planet. This is absolutely true. I will stand by that statement for a very, very long time indeed, and her music is fantastic as well, and she seems thoroughly lovely, which actually goes a long way in this world. This was released in 2023, live at the London Palladium, and was then this is a limited edition of 2000s. This is number 1687, and I'm very happy to have this because I've been getting all of her stuff on vinyl if I can, because I just love pop. I love pop music. I don't understand why people are snobbish about it. If it's good and it speaks to you and you like it, love it, own it, drive it like you stole it, and certainly do. So this is her second live release. The first one was the Read My Lips Live at Shepherd's Bush Empire DVD in the year 2002. Hard to believe she's been doing stuff for 25 years, but I'm very pleased about it. And this has got lots of songs that have a meaning to me. So Mixed Up World is on here, which I love. Then there's obviously Groove Jet, Take Me Home, Disco Inferno. A couple of songs which haven't been on any studio album. Hypnotised, I think, is one. Heartbreak, Make Me a Dancer, I think, is on another. And this obviously live at the Kitchen Disco. Kitchen discos were a thing that she started doing during COVID in the year 2020. Held a kitchen disco and a karaoke session in her kitchen. This is the gold vinyl version. Oh my God, look at the hits on that. What an amazing thing this is. I'm going to really enjoy listening to this. I think she's fantastic, and you know, I don't care who knows it. I love pop, always have, always will. Never going to argue anybody out of that. So perhaps the second one, again, this is going alphabetically. This one probably not a surprise to you, although surprisingly limited. This is David Bowie's Ready, Set, Go, live at the Riverside Studios, Hammersmith 2003. So this is the audio version of the additional live set that was with the DVD versions of the Reality album in the year 2003. The day that one of his final studio records, Reality, was released in October 2003. He broadcast a live set to cinemas across the world, playing the album in full, in order, in sequence, live at the Hammersmith Riverside Studios, and then some extra tracks at the end. So this is the first audio-only release of that. So you've got the whole of the Reality album live, plus 3 extra songs being Hello Spaceboy, Cactus, and Afraid. And this was there's 3,000 copies of the CD. Not many shops order them. I think there's about 6,400 of the vinyl. So this comes with, let's just open it up, 2 bog standard black vinyl discs, but Reality Live, inner sleeves, and a poster, which is, you know, always handy. I don't see any point in ever hanging this up, though. I probably wouldn't hang up a poster from a gig unless I'd been to the gig. But Live by Satellite from London, the Reality Live poster there. So that's yet another David Bowie live album. And we all know you can't have Record Store Day without having a David Bowie live album. I don't make the rules. That's just what they are. Or is it? Well, is it? Indeed. Nonetheless, this will be something like the 9th live album, maybe the 10th, the 14th, that's been released since Bowie's death. But it's nice to have. Makes the Rolling Stones look like slouches, though. So here is the, well, I don't have the RSD version of it, but here is the original 2002 vinyl edition. At least I think it's 2002, of the Fields of the Nephilim's Fallen album. This is the one that has the double disc release with Live at Roskilde. This one's quite difficult to get in its original form, actually. In fact, it was done so cheaply that they didn't even put inner sleeves on them in those days. I should swap that out for a black inner sleeve, really. And this Fallen is a studio album that was abandoned during recording. So there's a couple of songs that were officially released. I think a version of, and let me just quickly check, One More Nightmare and Trees Fall Down were on here, I believe. Although Trees Fall Down might have been called Dark Cell AD. And 8 extra songs that were for an album that never quite came to fruition. So these are heavily advanced demo versions of the songs which never got a release. Although From the Fire has been played live by the Nephilim, on the grounds that for some reason I think the Nephilim took an advance and never honoured the product commitment that went with it. So you'll be surprised to hear there is a record by The Cure I didn't get, because I didn't want to have the album on picture disc. I did, however, get the Alone Fortet Remix 12-inch here. This one, surprising that it hadn't sold out quicker, truth be told. There are still some copies available. It's just gone 8 o'clock on Monday, so if you are in the business of ordering online, you're probably frantically F5ing your way through lots of old record shops to try and see if anything that you missed on Record Store Day. But yes, this is Alone, so the remix of that. Other things that I picked up, well, Frank Turner, Positive Songs for Negative People, came out in a double disc vinyl edition. certain colours of vinyl. Let's have a look in there and see what colours there are. So this is his 2014 studio album, and sometimes I'm debating, should I do Frank Turner for the NOTCAST? And I don't know is the short answer. Maybe you're interested in that, maybe you're not. I think he's very interesting. He's like a British version of Springsteen, constantly touring, constantly releasing material, never more than about two years away from a studio album of about 14 to 15 very decent songs. This comes on 2 colours of vinyl. Here's the original 2014 studio album, repressed on red vinyl with new labels in. And that's quite nice. Actually, it's a really good record, this. It's got Get Better on it, which I absolutely love. You know, the idea about some of the lyrics that are in there around, you know, I've got me a shovel and I'm digging a ditch and I'm going to fight for these 4 square walls like a mean old son of a bitch. The idea about you're going to get better because you haven't been your best and you're not dead yet. And that's like a fierce and defiant call to following your own path, and may the road rise up behind you with the ashes of your enemies behind. It's also got a song called The Next Storm on, which is incredible. I love that. You know, rejoice, rebuild, the storm has passed. Here is the blue vinyl second disc of the album. This features 4 studio B-sides that haven't previously been available physically, which are Least of All, Young Caroline, Little Aphrodite, Cleopatra in Brooklyn, and The Armadillo, alongside 10 demo tracks. Demos of Get Better, an acoustic version of The Next Storm that is well worth the price of admission. The opening act of Spring, Glorious You, Mittens. I love Mittens. It's a great song. That song says about, you know, it always felt like mittens and never like gloves. What a fabulous lyric about being in an inappropriate relationship. Out of Breath, Demons, Josephine, Love 40 Dime, and Silent Key on a lovely blue coloured vinyl there. But that's wrapped inside a gatefold sleeve. Unsurprisingly, some of these releases aren't particularly cheap, but they are limited, one-shot deals, and there you go. And of course, there's a gatefold. I guess somebody would say, oh, it's a tip-on sleeve. God knows what a tip-on sleeve is. I just look at it and go, well, it's a record and it's music, and the music is the thing that matters. Nothing else really honestly matters, does it? What matters is what the music does to you, how it talks to you, how it makes you feel, what those songs mean to you. And, you know, there's been times in my life when things have been fairly bleak, where I've been hopeless, where it feels like I'm somehow kind of on choppy waters, fighting against the seas which I can't fight and the tides which I can't defeat, but somehow trying to make sure that the boat doesn't sink. And there's an articulate optimism in a lot of Frank Turner songs that really do kind of speak to me and my life experiences. So this is a good one. I rate this album very highly. A couple of his songs have really stuck with me all the way through parts of my difficult battle. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they had a sense that my life was, or had been, unfair, the way in which I've been treated by certain people, because people mistake kindness for weakness, and then they try and manipulate that kindness and exploit it, and they get pretty surprised when you stand up and actually go, no, I am not. You know, I will give people the benefit of the doubt, but there will always be doubt, and sometimes when people take that benefit away, there is nothing there. This is a fine record, and I like it a lot. Give it a listen. Top tip for me, go for The Next Storm, the demo, or Get Better. This one, the first of many Pink Floyd related releases, by the way, is Between 2 Points by David Gilmour and Romany Gilmour. This is an exclusive crystal clear vinyl edition of the only physical single so far released from his most recent studio album, Luck and Strange. I've had the good fortune to see David play live 3 times last year. Once in Brighton at the matinee warm-up show at the Brighton Centre, and twice at the Royal Albert Hall, the first and last shows of that appearance. This comes in a gorgeous inner sleeve. This is a fantastic song I love to bits. There's a really poignant lyric in this, which is always the last to know and always the first to leave. When someone's lying to you, you are the last to know, because you don't know what other people know. You don't know what that person knows. And that's a lyric which is really, really kind of, when I first heard it and I heard the song, and I was just kind of struck with the simplicity and the obviousness of that lyric and how strong and powerful it was. Lovely clear vinyl 12-inch here. So the A-side is a live version recorded at the Royal Albert Hall on the 15th of October 2024. To date, the last show that David Gilmour has played in the UK. I was at that. It might be the last time I see him play live, given that he is about 79 years old. And then there is a remix of Between 2 Points by Gentry, which, if I remember correctly, and I would have to have a look at this, might be Alt J, but it might not be. No, remix by Rob Gentry. And then there is the album version of the track and an edit of the remix as well for radio play. But no, Between 2 Points is one of my favourite songs of last year, actually. Not sure if I did a ranking of the albums last year or favourite albums of last year. If I did, Luck and Strange would have been on it. So we have two things which I didn't buy in Record Store Day. I'm going to skip those to last, I think. And then I'm going to go for the next one, which is, again, another Pink Floyd adjacent release. This is Nick Mason's Saucer Full of Secrets. But Nick Mason plays drums in Pink Floyd. And alongside that, Guy Pratt, who is here, also plays bass in Pink Floyd. So this is Pink Floyd's rhythm section, alongside Gary Kemp, Don Becken and Lee Harris, performing early period Pink Floyd material. So this is Echoes live in Frankfurt. Echoes is the sidelong classic track from the Medal album, which I've seen played live both by David Gilmour and Nick Mason. Nick Mason twice, David Gilmour once, and it features an etching on side 2, but nobody listens to the etching, do they? It just features a live version of Echoes. And Echoes is just one of those amazing songs which you could listen to. Now, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think this disc plays outwards, but I could be wrong. So you put the needle like this section here and in there, and it kind of plays backwards. I don't fully understand how that works, but I might give it a listen and find out. I haven't done it yet, on the grounds that I've been both at work and asleep, and I was at a gig on Saturday night. But yeah, Echoes is one of my favourite, probably my favourite single Pink Floyd song. So to be able to see it play live by two members of Pink Floyd, Rick. In fact, what this means now is actually I've seen Rick, Guy, Nick, and David all play Echoes live, just never at the same time, which is pretty amazing, all things considered. Love that song. Also, by the way, if you want to kind of watch the end of 2001 and time it up with Echoes, go ahead, knock yourself out. It's quite good. Certainly matches. Right, here's your big ticket numbers. Two big bands. A band you might not have heard of, the Oasis. This is Time Flies, 1994 to 2009, the singles collection. This is the priciest item that I bought. It is 4 LPs. The price didn't even start with a 9. It was, and it's basically a reproduction of the original. I think the original might have been on 5 discs. This is on 4. As coloured vinyl as part of the Oasis reissue programme. They're reissuing all their 7-inch singles at the moment, slowly but surely. Each one features that there 4 inner sleeves and appropriate colours. So let's have a look at this. This a lovely orange, again remastered. The second disc to go alongside the green sleeve, this is a lovely green. The third disc is a shocking pink to go alongside the pink inner sleeve there. That's the photo. And then the fourth one, this is blue on the outside. You can guess what colour it is on the inside. It's a blue. And this release is the first LP or the first album release for 2 important songs by Oasis. They are Lords Don't Slow Me Down from the 2007 documentary of the same name, which is there, Lord Don't Slow Me Down, and then Whatever as well, which is on there, side 5, last track. So if you're an Oasis completist, it's an essential purchase. If you aren't, I mean, still Oasis's best of, isn't it? Which, if you're Alan Partridge, is almost as good as the best of the Beatles. And so that's an important release to have in your arsenal or your body of work. And then the last RSD release that we've got is by a band called Passengers, not Passenger, Passengers. This is U2 and Brian Eno. I have done an episode about this album previously. This is a double LP reissue of a long lost, deleted and hard to get album. So my copy came from Greece, and there aren't many countries in the world where Passengers was actually originally released on vinyl in 1995. I think there were some European territories, UK, Ireland, Greece, Germany, some other places, not released on vinyl in America, I think, and some other parts of the world. So this is the first kind of long time in print version of Passengers, and the first reissue. This is a standard black vinyl. It is a niche release, being members of U2 and Brian Eno, but not called U2. So it isn't pressed to the kind of numbers that you would expect for a U2 release. But it is a very, very important part of U2's story, actually. If you're a fan of U2 and you want to go, well, it's the missing album in between Pop and Europa, and it sounds like a lot of U2 B-sides and even an A-side, and in Miss Sarajevo and Your Blue Room, two really strong songs that would have fit very, very well on Pop. This is expanded edition, has 2 extra tracks, I believe. Well, actually only one, so it's got Bottoms, which is an instrumental remix of a track called Zoo Station from Achtung Baby. Worth getting, really worth getting. If you're a U2 fan and you don't have this in your collection, absolutely essential. Do buy it straight away. And finally, on Saturday night, I went to a place called the New Cross Inn in London to see one of my favourite bands. I have not mentioned them before. They play about 5 shows a year. They're a Swedish post-rock band. They're called Hiroshima, and they are incredible. They play to about 80 people, which is a very small number of people considering how good they are. And I bought the vinyl editions of their 2015 album In Silence We Yearn and last year's All Things Shining. I also got a signed set list and a couple of t-shirts. Here's one of them. And I think this band are fantastic. If you don't know what post-rock is, listen to bands like Mogwai, Explosions in the Sky, Godspeed You Black Emperor. This Will Destroy You. But perhaps for me, if you listen to a track called Holding Rivers from this album, it may kind of just expand your mind a little bit, because it's like played on standard rock instruments, conventional instrumentation, guitar, bass, drums, keyboards, but the song structure, the riffs, all of that is completely different. It's more like listening to soundtrack albums as opposed to music albums. This comes on a wonderful kind of bit of a kind of like, a lovely marble coloured vinyl there. I know black's a colour, but I like marble vinyl as well. This is a fantastic band who I absolutely love to bits. I first heard this album January 2016, I think. It came out about October 2015, and I heard it January 2016. I remember I was at work actually, and YouTube, I just finished listening to something and it played something else automatically. It played Holding Rivers, and I was like, God, what's this? Where has this been all my life? And it just blew me away with just how good and powerful and strong it was. And there's this lovely crescendo of riffs that just, indulges in sound and clearly, influenced by bands I like, but also an influence and a very good band. This is their most recent studio record, All Things Shining, which I should point out, I think is, again, absolutely magnificent. Love this to bits. It's got some great tracks on it. I particularly like Deluge is a really good one. Wild Iris and Secret Youth are good ones. They've been playing those. This is a fantastic shade of weird splatter coloured vinyl, which I bought. But I love this one as well. Again, their stuff is back in print, so you can get it. I think not too many places have it. I think there's one copy of one of the of Myriad in the UK at the moment. But what a great band they are. I love them to bits. Do give them a listen. So I went to see them at the New Cross Inn. They played to about 80 people. They played for an hour and a half, and they were just brilliant. I'm so glad I saw them. Out of all the bands that I haven't seen that still exist, that I definitely wanted to see, Oh Hiroshima are the one where I thought I'll never get to see them, because it's a band of 4 Swedish dudes that play at weekends occasionally during school holidays. They've never played the UK before. They've cancelled 4 sets of UK shows, so I had the good fortune to be able to see that they were playing London on a Saturday night. Damn right I was going to go. In fact, I even looked at going to Vienna last year to go and see them, because that was the nearest and most capable place. But that was that would have been the 10th day of a 10-day tour, and I just couldn't have flown from, let's say, I couldn't have woken up in Glasgow, or I couldn't have woken up in Camden, having seen Front 242 in London, flown over to Vienna to see them on the Monday, to then fly back to Leeds on the Tuesday to see the Twilight Sad. I needed a break, and then about a week later they announced this show in London, and I bought a ticket, and I just absolutely overjoyed that I got to see them. They've only played about 40 shows in their life. Give them a listen. I think they're a great band. And that was my record store day. Yes, I spent a lot of money, but more importantly than that, spending money for the sake of spending money isn't in any way meaningful. Spending money on something that means something to you, that speaks to you, that gives you pleasure and joy, that is what it's all about. And despite what cynical, possibly jealous people say about spending money on vinyl like cocaine or something, I was just like going, no, this is music that means something to me, and if the music doesn't mean anything to you, don't buy it. Do something else. Go play golf or read a book or whatever. Find the thing that you love and hold on to it and let it bring joy into your life, whomever and whatever it is, because life is too short for bad people, bad food and bad music, and I've definitely experienced at least one of those in my life, and hopefully no more. So I'm going to wrap up here. Thank you if you watched all of this. Wow, half an hour whilst I talked about stuff for Record Store Day. That's great. Really pleased that you did it. Not going to try and talk you out of it at all. Just noticed, by the way, that the Oasis one is numbered, and this is number 9152. I think there's 10,000 copies of that going around. But what a great day it has been for my record collection, I'll put it that way. So thank you very much for watching this. Take care of yourselves and each other. Stay beautiful, and I will see you again some other time. All right. Happy Record Store Day, people. Don't forget, it's after 8 o'clock on Monday, so if there's something you haven't got, look online and order it, because those shops can't do returns. Make sure that you keep support your local record store, and more than that, support your own healthy emotional support record collection. See you later. Bye.